Hello everyone, welcome to the Matt's channel. I'm Matty, and in today's video we're going to be looking over my predictions video for who I had for qualifying for the World Cup. And here to look over with me is Dean from Algerian Football. Dean, hello.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Not a problem. So I guess before we start looking into the video itself, are you looking to go to the next World Cup?
I'd love to go if Algeria qualify, and obviously a World Cup in the Middle East as well. It'd be brilliant. It'd be fantastic. So yeah, I'd love to go. I think it'd be an amazing experience, and they've got great facilities there. So, but hoping Algeria qualify, obviously, otherwise I won't be going.
Yeah, I'm certainly hoping to go as well. I feel this is kind of a last chance to really do it before the tournament goes downhill. And
Wow.
by the time I by the time it does go back to a 32 World Cup, which would be like 2034 at earliest, I won't be young no more. So that.
Same.
And the other question I've got is, what are your thoughts for Algeria, England, and maybe another team you might want to mention on their World Cup qualifying campaign?
I think England have got a great team. If by the time the World Cup comes around and they've got a team of Foden, Mount, Grealish, Firing, and Kane, and Rashford, and Sancho, there's so much young talent there. I think England have got a great chance. I think they need to have a good Euros, build their confidence up, and obviously they went to the semi-finals last time. Why not go one further? I still think they'll be hurting. I think Gareth Southgate will be hurting still from the Russia World Cup to try and get to the final. And I think Algeria, if they qualify, they've got a great shot as well. They're champions of Africa, and I really think they could do something special. And a lot of the Algerian players actually do play in the Middle East at club level, so they are used to the facilities there already. So I think both countries have got a great chance at this World Cup.
Yeah, I do agree with that. So without further ado, I'll start playing the video. So I've muted the music that's in there for copyright reasons, but that does allow us to talk whilst things are going. So starting with Japan, no break. Much more disagreements between Dean and I.
No, I've got Japan.
Pick Iran. I think Iran is this is an interesting one where they're currently third in their qualification group, and I've seen people question me over this pick. But one thing to note is they do have a game in hand on the rest, two of which are against the opposition that they should be beating, that being Cambodia and Hong Kong. And then when you look at the defeats to Bahrain and Iraq, Bahrain, that was only down to a penalty. And for the Iraq game, Iran went down to 10 men and Iraq scored an injury time winner. The fact Iran have to play in Bahrain twice is a joke, but they're good enough to do it, and they've got proven players in Europe and they've got World Cup experience, which will help them along the way. Whether they finish first or second I don't know, but should they get at as far as the next round, they will be better defensively than most of the other teams.
Yeah.
Did you Dean, what do you have for Iran?
I've got Iran to qualify as well. I think they will make it, even though they're not quite up there yet in their group. I think they'll qualify. Remember them at the last World Cup. They were really good. They got 4 points. They drew to Portugal. They beat Morocco. They've got a great striker in Taremi who plays for Porto, and he scored a lot of goals. So I've got Iran to qualify as well. I think they'll get there in the end.
Yeah, I think they played well against Spain as well. So they don't have Carlos Queiroz, but these players that were there with him will have learned so much from him. So I think that will help them going forward as well. So up next, South Korea. I think this is a straightforward one. They're well organised, good goalkeeper, and Son is probably Asia's best player.
Yeah, he is.
Our next, Saudi Arabia, and then following Australia. So I picked 5 teams to qualify. My 2 honourable mentions: Iraq, Syria. I mean, these were kind of the 4 I wasn't sure about at first, but Australia, similar to Iran, one of the better teams defensively in the Asian Confederation, and they've got some players who've played in the European leagues. And I think Saudi Arabia are a better version of Iraq and Syria in terms of very good going forward, but they're weak defensively. And I'd also say Saudi Arabia have more athleticism within their players than Iraq and Syria. So, so who are your teams for Asia?
I've got Japan, just like you. I've got Iran. I've got South Korea. I've got Saudi Arabia as well. I think Saudi Arabia will be there again. They were at the last World Cup. I remember they beat Egypt. I know they had a rocky start, losing to Russia 5-0, but they pulled it round in the end. I don't have Australia, controversially. I don't think the Australian team is good enough to make it this time. I think they'll struggle. So I've gone for an extra team from CONCACAF instead. So I've got the 4 you've got, but I haven't got Australia.
But say if I know I'm bearing in mind in case something does happen where my 2 intercontinental playoff teams can't both qualify. If the playoff winning Asian team plays New Zealand in the playoffs, who would you have to play New Zealand?
I'd have Australia.
Okay.
Could you imagine that as a game, though? Australia, New Zealand. I mean, that's one hell of a derby.
I think it's in one of the men's or the women's Olympics, the 2 of them are playing each other, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, wow. That'd be exciting.
So, yes. So now to CONCACAF. I think this is a one we're both agreed on. I think Mexico will easily be the best team. USA, I think they've had a massive progression since that World Cup disaster. Got a good depth of players, and I don't necessarily think Mexico and USA will walk this qualification because there is a reputation that away games are hard in many different aspects, but I think both teams will bridge a big enough gap to have them significantly be like easily the best 2 teams. And my 3rd team is Costa Rica, which is a team I don't necessarily think will do great in the World Cup itself, but I think the fact they've got Keylor Navas is a huge bonus. Defensively, whilst the team as a whole is some of the best players are aging, defensively they're still very good, and I think that's going to help them against these other opponents. And my honourable mention, I have gone with Canada. So Davies is there. They've got some other players. I didn't really think Canada have got a lot of other players that can take them forward. Most of them range from players like Scott Arfield. I think they've got a chance. They could easily play like New Zealand or Syria or whoever else. And I did pick up on Jamaica, which if I'd made this video later, I'd put them in here. They've got Liam Bailey, as well as some other good players, Kemar Roof, and they could give a good push for qualifying for the World Cup. But I think I'm still happy to pick Costa Rica because of like some of the reasons I mentioned earlier. So, Dean, first question is, have you agreed with the 3 teams I picked? And second, who is your 4th team?
So I've got the USA. I think they're definitely going to make it after not making it last time. They've got too good a team not to make it. I've got Mexico. I think one of the shoo-ins. I think Mexico will certainly be there. I think Raul Jimenez is a great striker. Got Costa Rica like you. I don't think Costa Rica will particularly go very far if they do qualify, but I think they've got enough to make it. And I've put down Jamaica to qualify. I think what the Jamaican Federation are doing is very exciting. They've got Mikel Antonio from West Ham on the way. They've got Pinnock, the Brentford centre-half. They've got Jamal Lowe from Swansea, Andre Gray, Watford. They've got a serious group of players they're bringing through, and they've got plans to get even more players on board. I think if they've got a team with players like Antonio up front and Pinnock at the back and Leon Bailey combining as well, I think Jamaica have got enough there to make it, to be honest.
And would you say they'd finish 3rd or 4th or higher?
I don't think they'll finish any higher than that. I think they'll come. Well, I think they'll come 3rd. Actually, I think they'll come 3rd.
All right, now we go on. And of course, Jamaica have done a very good job at recruiting players as well, as you were alluding to. But now on to Comenbal. I think this is a no-brainer. Everyone's in agreement. Currently unbeaten. Uruguay, I think, despite some of their aging players, they're still world-class, and I fancy them to do well in qualification. Argentina, I think it'll be a battle for Uruguay and Argentina to go 2nd or 3rd. But you never know. And then from below that, it's going to be, well, there's going to be 2 or 3 at the bottom that probably don't really stand a chance. But got Chile here. And then my playoff winners are Colombia, which, and now on to my honourable mention, Peru. And I'd also add Ecuador to this in hindsight. But because they have started well, although what we don't know is if they can keep it up. And they've also not faced some of gone through some of the harder games, like playing Brazil, Uruguay away, Colombia away. They're in the mix, but I think it's quite an early call for me to hands-on say that they're going to be there. Peru, I do remember it being like a toss-up between Chile and Peru, even though I got Chile to finish above Colombia. But between Chile and Peru, it's wasn't too sure at first, but I chose Chile because they've got individual talent such as Sanchez, Vidal, who are getting on a bit, but they've still got other players which I think are better than what Peru have. And for Colombia, they've had a poor start, and I don't think they're going to be as consistent as, say, the top 3 teams, but they've got a lot of quality: James, Cuadrado, Quintero, and I think they'll do enough to push themselves up the table and get in the top 5. And then once they get into the playoffs, they should be better than the other teams they play, regardless of which confederational playoff winner they draw against. They're drawn against. So, Dean, how many of them do you agree with?
I've got Brazil and Argentina, although I think they're quite obvious picks, so never any doubts there. Got Uruguay as well. I think Uruguay still got a very good team. Might be the last chance for Cavani and Suarez though, so they'll probably go for it. I've got Colombia to finish in the top 4. I think Colombia have got too good a team not to go. I think they've got some great players. Davinson Sanchez at the back, Yerry Mina, very good team. Goal. Yeah, they've got enough. And for the playoffs, the 5th place, it was between Chile and Ecuador, because you mentioned how good the start has been for Ecuador. And I actually think Ecuador can put it off. I think Chile squad is very old. I think Vidal's past it now. True. I think Sanchez is on a bit. And with the start Ecuador have made, I think with Enner Valencia up front, ex-West Ham striker, I think Ecuador will see it through. So I think Ecuador will actually make it in the playoffs.
See, it's not too hard to argue with Ecuador. For Europe, I'm going to skip through the first 9 because I think we're all in agreement. If you can't see the record, that's France, Belgium, England, Portugal, Spain, Croatia, Germany, and Denmark and Italy.
Yeah, I've got all those.
So up next we got, I think I'm less confident about them than I was when I picked this before because of the start. Turkey, whilst I think did expect them to do well and expect them to do as well as they have, although the fact Turkey didn't beat Latvia means the Netherlands are in with a chance to take that top spot. And under Frank de Boer, they haven't been as good as when they're under Ronald Koeman. But I think what's going to happen is either the Dutch will not be good, will be too poor to keep de Boer, or they improve under de Boer, and either the way that one of the paths could easily take the Dutch towards the top. They've got some very good players. De Ligt and Van Dijk as centre-back, Ehring, I mean, very highly regarded. Pacing the attack, such as Depay. So overall, some good players. Does Dean have the Netherlands to qualify, though?
Yeah, but I think they'll qualify, and Turkey will. I think Holland and Turkey will make it out of the group. Whether it's one or the other through the playoffs, I think they'll both make it. They're both too good. So I think they'll both go. And I think Holland have got too good a team not to go. I know De Boer's a bit shaky. He was awful at Crystal Palace. Got sacked after 4 games. But I think Holland have got... I mean, Van Dijk in the back, they have to go. And Turkey have started brilliantly. So I think they'll both go.
I think Norway would have needed to have... I mean, they've got Haaland and Odegaard, but I think they needed probably another 2 or 3 players of near that level before I could really say that they could challenge or like be within that top 2. So that's why I haven't really included them. Switzerland, I think they're still a good team. Got good midfield, well organised, and maybe this isn't necessarily the case because of what Turkey have done now, but I think this is more the case with the other compared to the other teams. What I had before was, of all the teams below pot 1, Switzerland, well, now second to Turkey, but for me, I think Switzerland probably had the best chance of surpassing their pot 1 opponent, because I don't think Italy are quite on the same level as top 5 of Europe. So, and then in the playoffs, I think they'll be one of the best teams. They're good at finding ways to get to the tournament. Up next, we got another team, Sweden, another team which are hard to break down. Got some, I think they should finish second easily, and then it's about who they might get into the in the playoffs. They face Switzerland or probably even the other team I'm going to mention. Then I don't think they'll make it, but I think they're strong contenders in the playoffs. I don't know whether they'll use Zlatan, but either way, I made this before Zlatan had announced his return. Ukraine, I think they've been really good recently under Shevchenko. Some dangerous players, physical, and Zinchenko's got experience at Man City. They're one to watch, I think, going forward in future. Honourable mentions, I've got Poland, Lewandowski, Milik. Bit of a question mark over who they get in the playoffs. I don't think they're quite as good as the last three teams I mentioned. Russia, I think, will get above Slovakia and Slovenia because I think they've got more goals in them than them two teams. And then it's just kind of, I think they'll just sort of fall short in the fact they can't, that, I mean, they'll give it their all, but just the fact that they're representing a team under a white flag might, the desire might fall short a little bit. And Turkey, which I'd probably raise their chances given their excellent start, but they're going a bit, but they've over the last 2 years, they've brought in some very good defenders, and they're dangerous up top too. So they are my 30. There are my 13 teams. Well, the teams that I mentioned beforehand. What changes would you make?
I would like to throw in the Czech Republic. I think the Czech Republic have got a very nice team. Obviously, watch Souček and Koufal at West Ham. Souček, one of the best midfielders in Europe this season, with the goals he scored. I think they thrashed Estonia in the first qualifying game. I think Czech Republic,
like 6-0.
Yeah, and Souček scored a hat trick. So I'd throw in Czech Republic over someone like Ukraine. So, and I'm very, very impressed by Czech Republic. I have got Switzerland. I think Switzerland are always there or thereabouts. And I think Poland will go. I think Lewandowski is far too good to not go to the World Cup. So I think Poland will make it. Obviously, Fabianski and Szczesny in goal as well. So they can keep it tight at the back. So I'd have Poland in over Sweden. I don't think Sweden will go this time.
Serbia has also been a popular choice, but I think the fact that they had a hard time beating. I mean, Serbia have started well in the World Cup qualifiers, but I think it's kind of worrying the fact that if I'm Serbian, it's kind of worrying about the fact that they had a hard time beating Scotland, and they'll be expected to face better teams in the playoffs than Scotland, whether it's towards the start or the end. I think Serbia are in a shout to kind of do something within the playoffs, but I don't think they do have enough to have them as serious contenders. I mean, they might be better than Russia, but I think I wouldn't put them in the same. I wouldn't give them the same chances as I do with the other teams. So now we're on to for your fan base. This would be considered the best.
Yeah.
So my first team, Algeria. For me, this is a no-brainer. I'd say they're the best team in Africa right now. Mahrez Benrahma, brilliant going forward, got the pace, well skilled on the ball. And Bohellini, excellent goalkeeper, very underrated wise. They've got a stable midfield, very good defence as well. They've got an unbeaten run, which I believe is nearing to 30 games. Am I right on that? Like 29, 26?
Yeah, 24 games at the moment.
Yeah, that's...
games.
I mean, African champions as well. I think I'm going to let you say the rest on this because you're the expert. So what else would you have to say? Take it away.
Well, I've got Algeria to make it. So you got to the knockout stages in 2014. They already lost to Germany in extra time. So I think Algeria will be there. And then that leaves us with four remaining places for Africa. I think Senegal have to go. Reach the final of Africa. Never won Africa.
Well, I was asking, have you got anything more to add regarding Algeria as a team?
No, I think you covered it well. I think they've got decent players in all of the areas. I think Yusuf Attal, right back, Spencer Bainey, left back in the Bundesliga, midfield Benasser, AC Milan, and then attack very good. Bounedjah, very good striker, and Delors doing very well in Liga. So no, I think they'll be there.
So up next, again, I think this one's a shoe-in. Senegal, very athletic, got pace. He's strong as well. Mane's world class. Got some Koulibaly's world class. Got some other proven players. Edouard Mendy's been excellent. And if I'm not mistaken, when Chelsea had signed him, he hadn't won a cap for his country. I think he was like third choice. So I think that just shows the depth of goalkeepers that Senegal have. I think Algeria and Senegal are the easiest ones to pick to go to the World Cup. I put Senegal second here because if it came where Algeria were playing Senegal, I'd give the nod to Algeria. But you've got Senegal going through as well.
Yeah.
Not much more to add.
Well, I think them and Algeria are no-brainers. Sadio Mane is one of the best players in the continent. Koulibaly at the back, Diallo at the back, Kouyaté. So I think they're very good all round as well.
I think, not up next Nigeria. I think they are somewhere between Algeria and Senegal and the rest of the contenders of the World Cup. I think by no means are Nigeria amazing or anything, but they're good at qualifying for World Cups. They've got the experience. They've got some good players such as, good in terms of Africa-wise in Iwobi and Musa. They don't really know too much about their current squad, but of course got a good manager as well. I think their young talent has pace. I think they're a strong contender to make it this time around. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I've got Nigeria in my list as well. Very good team, and I've got a good crop of young players coming through. They've got Osimhen at Napoli, Chukwueze, Villarreal. So some very exciting attacking players. And Didi, one of the best midfielders in the Premier League this season. So they've got enough there to make it, I think.
I forgot about Ndidi, but he's up there as one of their best players. This next pick, I think, will be the one where you have the most disagreement with me about. But and I'll say I'm not as confident with picking them, with sticking with them, but I do think they still have a good chance in reaching it, and that is, they'll come up, Egypt. Because I remember you said you didn't even have them to get into the playoffs.
Well, I just think they're not good enough apart from Salah.
I think as far as the argument of will they get out first, I mean, Gabon do have a lot of defenders from the French Ligue 1. But I think I think a way of looking at it could be more of if Salah's out, if Aubameyang's out, who's going to suffer more? And I think Egypt still have a better team without that. When you look at the rest of the group, I mean, without Salah, they've still got Trezeguet, Higazi, and Al Shawari, who is a very good penalty saver. Would I still pick them? Maybe. I mean, I could easily put Ghana ahead of them. I suppose it just depends on who they come up against in the playoffs. But I haven't even mentioned Salah yet. He's had a brilliant season, and he's proven he's proven in qualification as well. So I think Egypt will be there or thereabouts. And my final team is Morocco. Morocco, I'd say I'm more confident about Morocco going than Egypt. Hakim Ziyech, I believe he's one of these two. I don't remember. I mean, they look pretty similar, but Hakim Ziyech been excellent at both Ajax and Chelsea. Well, that's when he has played for Chelsea, but he's provided big moments. And Hakimi at right back, he's considered one of the best or somewhat up there in Europe. And I think Morocco, they haven't played that well in Africa Cup of Nations qualification recently. They still managed to qualify. Them qualifying this time around is a bit of a question mark, but I think they've got enough good players within their team to take them to the World Cup. And I'd say Guinea-Bissau, I mean, they're not too bad African-wise. Guinea-Bissau have Naby Keita, but I can't really see a threat from them or Sudan to really go above them. And I'd say Morocco are probably better than about just above at least half of the other teams that will make it. So my honourable mentions, Ghana, I think, even though Zimbabwe and South Africa are decent prospects, I think Ghana are certainly better than the two of them. Ivory Coast, they've got some. When Ghana have Thomas Partey, the Ayew brothers, and I'd say they're more proven at a level like this than their opponents in. Don't remember what group they're in, but onto Ivory Coast. Of course, they're not the classic that they were in the past, but they've still got good players with some pace. And Tunisia, I don't think they're as good as their ranking suggests. I think they'll be somewhat there. They'll be there as a contender. It just kind of depends on who they get in for the playoffs. But I mean, I'm not even sure if Tunisia will make it out their group. I mean, if you look back at some of the past tournaments, they didn't put up a fight against England, won a penalty that shouldn't really have been given, and even then, when that cross went in, they weren't even. There was barely much of their players looking as though they were going to do something with the ball, and I remember being kind of disappointed that they weren't going to be much threatening against England. But against Belgium, they did put up more of a fight, but they conceded 5 goals. And then against Panama, who were considered the worst team next to Saudi Arabia, they didn't really set the world alight against them either. They were a goal down at halftime, and then they only won like 2-1. And I'm sure Senegal or Nigeria would have got a much bigger win. And then in the Africa Cup of Nations, the last one, they don't win a single game in the group, which included against Mauritania and Angola, got through because they didn't lose against Mali. Against Ghana, they stumbled their way to a penalty shootout, conceded a goal that, if I remember correctly, shouldn't have been ruled out.
Yeah,
they got a convincing win against Madagascar, and then they went on to lose against Nigeria and Senegal. For this time around, I think I would pick them to qualify, but I do think Zambia have something in them to get them into that top spot. So I'd say Tunisia, for the qualification part, they can top their group, but they're beatable. And then should they get through to the playoff stages, it'll depend on who they play, whether it's like Mali, DR Congo, perhaps Ivory Coast, maybe Ghana, or maybe Egypt, maybe Morocco. But I don't think they can qualify, but I don't think they will. So what are your picks for the teams to qualify? And I think I've spoken enough.
Well, I've got Algeria, Senegal, and Nigeria to qualify.
Indeed, no surprises there.
No, but I have got Ivory Coast to qualify. I think they're getting a few players on board. Willy Bowley from Wolves, Sebastian Haller now from Ajax. I think they've got.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So and they're hoping to get more players on board as well.
I don't know too much about Ivory Coast, if I'm honest. So, but I think
they're getting a few players.
I do know they've got enough to at least be challengers. So yeah, carry on.
And Tunisia recently, they've gone around all the academies in Europe and they've got loads of players signed up. They've got Hannibal Mejbri from the Man United Academy, Omar Rekik from the Arsenal Academy. So they're building a nice team as well. So I think Tunisia are always well organised, and they did get to the semi-finals of the African nations, despite how lucky they were. And I think if Tunisia were to come up against Morocco or Egypt in the playoffs, I think Tunisia would be very resolute at the back. They've got a lot of players in Europe, Dylan Bron, Kazri, Sakiri. So they've got a few players. I think Algeria, Senegal, and Nigeria are the main three, and then the other two, I think it's really open. I think you could see even Ghana go, you could see Ivory Coast go, you could see Tunisia go. Egypt, it depends if they turn up with Salah or not. Morocco have been, even the last World Cup they went to, they finished below Iran, very disappointing. And then in the AFCON they lost to Benin, who had 10 men. So Morocco haven't been that convincing. They tried to get some new players. They tried to get Issa Diop from West Ham and it didn't work out. So I think Morocco a lot of their players perform at club level but don't perform at international level. So I think you see the Ivory Coast, and then I think you'll see another North African team as the last one.
Not Libya, of course.
No, not Sudan, no.
I guess the other ones that probably have a chance are Mali and DR Congo, but with Mali, I think both of us have said Uganda would get to first place. It could easily be Mali, but
could be, yeah.
But the fact we've picked Uganda suggests that Mali's probably not going to be up there, and DR Congo will probably qualify, but chances are they're going to come up against one of these teams that we've been talking about. So I don't see them to qualify.
Yeah. I mean, DR Congo, they didn't even go to the last AFCON. They didn't even qualify for the next AFCON. So they've been very disappointing.
Didn't even get above Gambia.
No, it's not. It's not great, is it? And it's 24 teams now. It used to be 16. They can't get to a 24-team tournament with the likes of Balassi and Astambalonga and players like this, Afobe, Masuaku. Very strange, and they might even get Wan-Bissaka as well. So they've got to bounce back.
Yes. So I'll recap, and I'm going to see if I can list all the teams that you've not agreed with me on. So you've had Jamaica to finish above Australia, to finish ahead of Australia. You've got Ecuador in there instead of Chile. You have Poland and what was the other team again? I'll remember it when Czech Republic in there ahead of Sweden and Ukraine. And for Africa, you've said Ivory Coast and Tunisia ahead of Egypt and Morocco. So that, if I count correctly, that's 6 we've disagreed on.
Yeah, it's not too different, is it?
Out of 32, so I'd have said 24, 28. It's 28, but something around 24 would have been about estimate of what I'd guessed. What we disagreed on are. So yeah, thanks for joining us, Dean. I'll be very much looking forward to the Euros, the rest of the World Cup qualification campaign, and even the Euros itself. And I suppose even though the African qualifiers have been postponed, there still is this video still allows as a preview for the qualifiers of Asia, South America, and North America, and got to thank you for joining. Where can the people that don't really know about you find you?
I've got my own YouTube channel like yourself, Algerian Football YouTube channel. So just search Algerian Football and you'll find me. And thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure to join you.
Yeah, thanks for being on. You're probably at least one of the biggest guests I've had on. So been good talking international football, and good luck for your campaign, short term and even for the rest of the year.